Hello everybody, welcome back to the Bad Bookers Wrestling Podcast. My name is Jack and today we are reviewing SmackDown. It's going to be a very quick review because I'm not feeling the best. So I want to get this over and done with, get it uploaded and forget about it kind of thing. Go home show of SmackDown for the Royal Rumble this weekend. It was decent. I rated it slightly better than Raw. Only just. Purely because the Almas Rey match again was really good. Ali, Samoa Joe match was decent as well. So just because of that, I've graded it a 3-star. I get the star rating out of the way. Yesterday, Raw was a 2 3/4. This was a 3. Just better in my opinion. But we shall kick off the show. What do you think about SmackDown Live? Leave a comment down below on what you thought. And while you're down there, leave a like and a subscribe as well. So first off, we had a interesting start to the show. We had Becky Lynch come out, obviously great crowd reactions as always, and she cuts a promo on how everyone's got an opinion on what she should be doing, how she should be acting, where she should be going, and she said, "I don't care what other people think. The only place where I should be going is headlining WrestleMania and slapping everyone around to get there." And she talks about Asuka being one of the best in the world, but, you know, Becky's better than her. Her words. She then went on to say that she's already dethroned the Queen and she's going to get revenge on the Empress for taking a title at TLC, and she's going to put her back in her place, basically. This was all before Asuka then came out, didn't pick up a mic, just started shouting Japanese at Becky before Charlotte Flair then came out and said, what did she say? She said she'll win the Rumble and it doesn't matter who she faces out of the 4 women who are in title matches at the Rumble. She's already beaten Sasha Banks loads of times. She slaps Ronda Rousey everywhere across the arena at Survivor Series. She's already broken Asuka's streak at last year's WrestleMania. And no, Becky might have got the best of her for the past few months, but she's been the face of the division for the past 4 years. So it don't matter who she will face at Mania after winning the Rumble, she will win at Mania because she is Charlotte Flair. And then out of nowhere, Asuka just attacks Becky and there's a massive brawl in the ring and Charlotte's just stood there like, go on then, beat each other up, that's fine by me. People like refs and whatnot trying to break it up. To no avail. Becky gets the upper hand on Asuka by throwing her over the announce table and then just beating the crap out of her and then walking off. Asuka's looking all upset and shouting in Japanese once again. I quite like it when they let the foreign wrestlers, if you will, speak in their own language. Like Asuka's, it doesn't feel like they're forcing Asuka to speak English because obviously it's not her first language, but to have her speak Japanese, it's just like, what's she saying? What's she saying? And it's kind of like you're relying on the facial expressions of Asuka then, which she's really good at doing. So you're kind of taking, all right, she can speak English, but she's not very good at it. Like it's not her first language, so you can't blame her. But she's really good at facial expressions. And when someone's speaking Japanese, it always sounds, especially when you're shouting in Japanese, it sounds quite aggressive and quite real when it comes to wrestling. So compare that with Asuka's great facial expressions, it's perfect in my opinion. There was then a commercial break and we come back and Asuka and Becky are brawling again backstage before being ripped apart. It was all going mental and it was a perfect way to set up their match on Sunday to be like a big blood feud match, if you will, like a big proper get behind this feud because it's going to be really, really good. Then had the match between Mandy Rose and Naomi, which everyone's been waiting for because this feud's been great. Naomi attacked Mandy even, drawing Mandy Rose's entrances, but she quickly rolled Mandy into the ring to get the match started. It was dominated a hell of a lot by Naomi. She took control very early on, and it was about a 7-8 minute match, I think. I could be wrong, but I would say about 6.5 minutes of that was Naomi on top before before Mandy Rose throwing Naomi onto the apron of the ring, or was it? No, Naomi just going out to the apron of the ring to go jump back in like, off the top rope and do a move. But Mandy Rose, I think she either got hit by Naomi and fell into the ref, or used the ref as a shield, and that gave enough distraction for Sonya to try and grab Naomi, which distracted Naomi, obviously. Mandy Rose got their bands, slung Naomi into the ring post, and got her back into the ring to pick up the win. It's a bit of a weird way to win a match nowadays, just throwing your opponent into the ring post, but yeah, and I assume because of that finish, that's not the end of the feud. As well, but yeah, it was average, average at best. We then had The Miz versus Cesaro. Obviously, The Miz beat Sheamus last week in that main event. This match was full of distractions from Sheamus and Shane McMahon. Both were given their fair share of distractions to the other person. It wasn't a particularly long match. I can't remember if there was even an ad break in it. There might have been an ad break, which made it feel shorter than it was. But it wasn't very long. It kind of just felt like, yeah, they shoved that in there just to promote the tag team some more. Which, yeah, I'm trying to think of myself, think like how to convince myself that Miz and Shane aren't winning on Sunday. But I can't. That's the only result I see happening, and it kind of proved that after. Cesaro picking up the win after hitting a neutralizer, after once again distraction from Sheamus. As my phone goes off, I do apologise. Distraction from Sheamus. I think he punted Miz in the face, which then Miz fell back into the ring, and Cesaro hit the neutralizer on him. And then after the match, there was a scrap between all four men, and Shane teased to do an elbow drop from the top rope to the table, like he normally does and normally fails. But Cesaro Sheamus even managed to push him off the top rope. The bar got the upper hand, and then they laid Miz out on the table and then power slammed Shane McMahon onto the Miz through the table. They laid out, the bar go off to the back, happy as Larry, and go with the momentum, if you will, into Sunday. So that almost confirms that Shane and Miz are winning, and it's just like, oh, I don't know if I can be bothered. We then had I noticed I say we then had quite a lot. I've just noticed that. I do apologise. AJ and Daniel Bryan face off with Vince McMahon as the person there, if you will. Daniel Bryan refuses to get into the ring with AJ Styles and says that AJ Styles, you know, he's embarrassed to be in the ring with AJ Styles, especially after last week's heinous attack from AJ, and that AJ uses his power for money and for fame, but him, the new Daniel Bryan, uses his power for the greater goods. AJ then, I'm just going to pick kind of like, it was like a 10-minute segment, to be fair. It was longer than most matches on the card, and I'm just going to sift through it, pluck through the lines that I wrote down, because this is probably the longest notes that I wrote down. Maybe the Becky Asuka start. So basically, I wrote very little about the wrestling, a lot about the promos in the ring. AJ calls Daniel Bryan fickle for not riding a bike to the arena, taking a plane like everyone else, but he's there shaming everyone for harming the environment when in fact Daniel Bryan's doing it himself. So AJ calls him fickle. Topical. I like it. AJ Styles then also says that Daniel Bryan isn't embarrassed to get in the ring with him. He's fearful. He fears AJ Styles, and he doesn't want to have a glance at what's going to happen on Sunday when AJ Styles beats him and takes the WWE title back where it belongs. Vince gets upset at this point because Daniel Bryan's still on the outside, and he starts getting angry and was like, Daniel Bryan, get in here now. Just get in the ring. It's a face-to-face and whatnot. But then Daniel Bryan just turns around and goes, no, Vince, I'm not getting in the ring because you and everyone in this arena are parasites, and I'm not going to follow what you said. It's just like, oh, damn. Vince isn't going to be happy about this. AJ says that, you know, Vince, it's fine. you advertise the face-to-face. It doesn't have to be in the ring. And then he chases Daniel Bryan down, and they have a scrap on the outside before AJ rolls him back into the ring, goes for the phenomenal forearm, but Daniel Bryan uses Vince as a shield. AJ jumps off, running knee from Daniel Bryan from behind Vince McMahon. He then rolls away, scours away, and celebrates on the top of the entrance ramp. Is Daniel Bryan losing the title? He got the upper hand against AJ? Don't know. It might do. We'll have to wait and see come Sunday, won't we? Samoa Joe versus Mustafa Ali. It was a very decent match. It wasn't a particularly long match, but it was decent. We had a vignette earlier in the night of Mustafa Ali seeing in Samoa Joe's eyes what he really thinks, and that all Samoa Joe has to look in Mustafa Ali's eyes and see that he knows that he could beat Samoa Joe. They had a decent match, like I said, both looking good, both were on top of the match at certain points, but it ended up with Samoa Joe tapping Mustafa Ali out with the coquina clutch. And I don't mind this. Like, it makes Samoa Joe look good. Mustafa Ali once again looked like a star in this. You can't have Mustafa Ali come in and beat everyone, because that would just make everyone else look kind of weak. Like, this guy just coming in, beats everyone. So slowly but surely get Mustafa Ali up there. Keep on pinning him up against guys like Samoa Joe and whatnot. Maybe have him feud with Randy Orton, and we'll have to wait and see what happens. But Mustafa Ali, he looks comfortable on the main roster, which is what I like to see. Then had the main event of the evening: Rey Mysterio versus Andrade, Cien Almas, Zelina Vega, banned from ringside in a 2 out of 3 falls match. Basically, I'm just going to go through the falls and whatnot, each fall to their own. So Andrade scored the first fall after hitting they were both on the top rope, and he hit an absolute brutal powerbomb off the top rope jump. So he jumped, held Rey while in jumping, and just powerbombed him into the canvas, getting the 1, 2, 3. It just looks absolutely brutal. The story behind this match was working Rey's back kind of thing, because he injured it quite early on by the looks of it. Work or shoot, I don't know. And then that was the story of the tale then, if you will. The tail of the tape was just working Rey's back, hitting Rey with big moves to his back. But it wasn't quick before Rey Mysterio equalised, hitting once again a beautiful Canadian destroyer onto Andrade and tying the scores up at 1-1. I said on Twitter that Rey and Andrade could do a Canadian destroyer every week. They could face each other every week until Mania, and I just wouldn't get bored of it. I really wouldn't get bored of it. It just looks so good. They perform it so well. They have so much chemistry together. Top blokes, absolutely top blokes when it comes to it. Rey could have won with a count-out victory, but because he's a babyface in WWE, he doesn't want the count-out victory. He then does a baseball slide to the outside, sunset flip powerbomb to the barricades onto Almas. It was phenomenal. I don't get how they did that. Rey Mysterio is, what is he, like 45, and he's doing I don't get it. I don't understand. Almas then got back into the upper hand. He threw Rey Mysterio into the ring post, and he hit a hammerlock DDT, but somehow Rey manages to get his foot onto the bottom rope, and the crowd were really hot at this point. They were getting really behind Rey. Almas was mocking Eddie Guerrero, doing his little shoulder shake, and it was a bit like, a bit touchy there. Almas then got Rey Mysterio into like an armbar, but Rey manages to break out to it, and then he jumped up while Almas kind of dragged him up, and they managed to get Rey onto the top rope. He jumped off, but whatever they were planning to do, they unfortunately botched it. It didn't affect the match whatsoever. It was unfortunate. There was a nice little spiked Hurricane Rana after that. I assume that's what they were planning on doing, but it was just unfortunate. It didn't affect the match whatsoever, like I said. They did that, spiked Hurricane Rana. Almas kicked out, and then it wasn't before long that the match ended due to a Samoa Joe interference. He planted Rey with a powerbomb onto the apron, once again working the back. Nice of Samoa Joe to spot that. And then he destroyed both Rey and Almas, and then got onto the mic and said that's what he's going to do to everyone who enters into the Royal Rumble match this Sunday. But then out of nowhere, we haven't seen the man in weeks, Randy Orton, RKO. Samoa Joe's laid out, Randy Orton's on top going into the Royal Rumble on Sunday, and like I said, we haven't seen him for weeks. Where's he been? And now he's just coming out of the woodwork. RKO and Samoa Joe looking good as always. Decent SmackDown Live. Decent SmackDown Live. Like I said, it's slightly shorter than normal, but still too long. Still too long. If you did like that, please leave a like on the video. Please subscribe if you're new around it or you haven't done so already. And I shall see you again very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching.